Blood Sea tells the story of Saya Hitsugaya, a seemingly normal girl living in her father's shrine. During the day, she goes to school and spends her time with her friends at a local cafe. However, during the nighttime, she is called upon to protect her village from strange monsters called the Elder Baron. I've always been interested in watching Blood Sea, but I didn't know if I had to watch the other Blood stuff before going into Blood Sea. I enjoy Blood Plus for what it is, and I haven't seen Blood the Last Vampire, but I will say all of these are different. So if you were like me and you wanted to know which one to watch first, you can watch any of them in any order that you want. The only common things that they have between each other is that the main character is named Saya. All of them have blood in the name, and they're all animated by Production IG. That's about it. Starting with the positives, there is a creepy tone to this. It's not a very scary anime. This is labeled as a horror, but I wouldn't call it scary. It's more gory than scary. But there is some creepy elements to it. There's an episode where a guy's face melts, and it looks pretty graphic, and it was kind of creepy. There's also some pretty creepy music throughout this entire show, and I thought that it added to the suspense. And seeing what different type of monster that Saya was going to fight was pretty interesting, and I was curious to see how they would tackle that. And I would say they did a very good job. I enjoyed Saya as a main character. She was bubbly, but she could also be really badass when she needs to. I think the overall tone was a little bit odd, but for the most part, I enjoyed seeing Saya live her normal day life and then just seeing her kill the shit out of some monster. This is definitely a me thing, but the gore in this show is awesome. It is so detailed, it is so grotesque, and as a gore fan and as a horror fan, I loved it. I only watched the show in the English dub, and I thought it sounded pretty good. And the final positive I have for the show is that the opening for the show is awesome. It is one of my favorite openings of all time. It is so cool. The song is awesome. The animation is awesome in the opening. It's so cool. And I like how it has English, Japanese, and French in the song. I thought it sounded very well, and it blended in pretty well. It's a really cool OP, and it's one of my favorite things about the show is the OP, and I was looking forward to it each and every single episode. I do gotta say, this show's not that great. While Saya is a pretty cool character, everyone else around her is pretty lame. They all fit their usual stereotypes. You got the twins, you got the fuckboy lover boy, you got the really cool hot guy that Saya's into, you got the coffee owner who is just friendly and just gives her free coffee and food whenever she shows up. The teacher is kind of hot, but she's as bland as her fake tits. It's not a good cast of characters. Once episode 11 hits, however, there is a pretty jarring plot twist that happens. And I'm not going to say it for spoiler's sake, but I didn't see any of that coming. And I was genuinely shocked with what I was seeing. But it wasn't in a good way. It was kind of in a bad way. I felt like they were overcomplicating what was going on, and it was just complex for the sake of complex. I just kind of wish that this show was just Monster of the Week, Saya killing the shit out of the Elder Baron of the episode, and just move on. I didn't really think that this show needed any kind of deeper storyline going on with it. And while one of the plot twists that happened does make sense, the other one is just kind of there, and it just comes out of left field, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? The tone's kind of different. What's going on here? The animation for Blood Sea is okay. The fighting animation looks pretty cool. It's got a lot of energy, and it looks awesome. However, everything else just kind of seems mid. Seems very mundane, kind of just saving the budget for the big action scenes, and that's what it felt like they were saving up for. It didn't look too bad, but it's definitely not the best that Production IG can do. Overall, though, Blood Sea was enjoyable, but I wouldn't really call it a good show, for me at least. There was that really weird fucked up plot twist that happens at the end that I was not a fan of. I'm not a fan of any of the other characters other than Saya herself. And I really think this show could have just been better as just Monster of the Week, kill the enemy, and move on. I think that's what I would have enjoyed a bit more. but they decided not to, and that was their decision, and I'm not a fan of it. However, I don't completely hate this show. I enjoyed the action scenes, and that's probably the best thing I could have going for it. The opening is also fire, and I loved it. I'm even listening to it while recording to this. It's such a good opening. But other than that, I can't really recommend this. If you've seen Blood Plus or Blood the Last Vampire and you're interested in checking it out, I guess fine if you're curious, but other than that, I can't recommend the show. So I'm just going to say skip it. Big thanks to Warpbait, my Asma Senpai, and my name is Doofy for supporting me on Patreon. You guys are awesome.